The Taiwan Affairs Office climbed over the Great Firewall to do external propaganda and got roasted. An underground church pastor was arrested and disappeared. The culture and tourism bubble collapsed en masse. The Canton Fair floor was so cold it froze. From faith, to the economy, to public opinion, the CCP system is failing across the board. The Fourth Plenum has just ended, and China is mired in a triple deadlock. Don't miss the next drop, subscribe and hit the bell. China has really gone off the rails lately. The Taiwan Affairs Office climbed the wall to open a Facebook page. Underground churches were raided overnight, ancient towns are going under one by one, even the Canton Fair is icy and deserted, the whole system is collapsing. These aren't a few isolated stories, but cracks that are tearing this country apart from the inside out. Look how absurd it is when you put these together. Ordinary people climbing the wall is a crime, yet the Taiwan Affairs Office officially announces its own Facebook fan page. A pastor preaching at home is dragged off by police in the middle of the night? Culture and tourism companies are going bankrupt one after another, while at the Canton Fair, exhibitors sit scrolling on their phones, foreign buyers are sparse, and the venue is so dead you could play badminton. Beijing keeps chanting, seeking progress while maintaining stability, but the reality on the ground is, no one dares spend, no one dares speak, and no one dares believe. These events from this week may look unrelated, but they're really the same signal. The CCP's entire system is jammed to death by the traps it set for itself. Seal the web, yet climb the wall yourself, talk religious freedom, yet arrest pastors, claim economic recovery, yet see closures everywhere, tout strong foreign trade, but the Canton Fair becomes a lonely bazaar. China's problem now isn't where it went wrong, but that the entire system is wrong. Next, I'll walk you through 4 things: the Taiwan Affairs Office's double-standard wall-climbing show, the overnight arrests of underground churches, the collective implosion of the culture and tourism bubble, and the Canton Fair's frozen to the core reality. This is China in 2025. It looks stable, but is in free fall. The Taiwan Affairs Office climbs the wall and slaps its own face. Did you know? Mainland China's internet is sealed tight by the Great Firewall, yet now, the CCP's Taiwan Affairs Office has climbed the wall to open a Facebook account. This isn't a leak, they announced it themselves. On October 22, spokesperson Zhu Fenglian officially announced at a press conference that to strengthen publicity to Taiwan, the TAO had opened a Facebook page called Taiwan Affairs Office Spokesperson, with the first post published on October 21. You think this was some goodwill exchange? Sorry, the car flipped immediately. Everyone knows ordinary Chinese can't access Facebook, IG, X, YouTube, Google, etc. You need a VPN, and it might be illegal. And now the authorities climbed the wall themselves? Netizens erupted. Taiwanese YouTuber Potter King commented first, officials are allowed to set fires, but commoners aren't allowed to light lamps. People cracked up. The comments got even spicier, so now the government is taking the lead in breaking the law? Double standard clowns exposed. Can Chinese finally surf without climbing the wall? If not, is the Comparty just performing double standards? Some mocked, source of disinformation, report it together. Can we report it till the page is taken down? Others went straight at the TAO, support one Republic of China and one bandit regime, each with its own narrative. Taiwan is a free, democratic country, the CCP is a dictatorial regime. We will never support unification, keep dreaming. It didn't stop there. Netizens dragged in another sensitive topic, the Chinese actor Yu Menglong, who died in a suspicious fall in September. Comments included, Yu Menglong's bones aren't cold, give justice now. Where's Yu Menglong? What's the status? By around 2 p.m., those comments vanished one by one. From over 200 messages down to just 50 odd, almost all praise. Clearly, the censorship machine was humming. The TAO opens Facebook by climbing the wall show debuted as a massive double-standard pileup, block citizens from free internet at home, while climbing out yourself for propaganda. That logic, truly unmatched. Underground church raids, faith turned into a crime. Is the TAO just playing slapstick? No, the CCP is accelerating its tightening over all speech and faith outside its control. Next is the sweeping arrests of underground churches across China, which have sparked global protests. Recently, a large-scale raid campaign against underground churches has been quietly unfolding in China. Those taken include pastors, elderly church elders, and even believers with heart disease. Even more unsettling, families received no notices, people were simply disappeared. This traces back to mid-month. In recent years, the CCP has trumpeted sinicization of religion, which in practice means not allowing faith to develop outside CCP doctrine. Everything must follow the official line. From mid-October, sudden reports broke from Beijing, Shanghai, Hunan, and elsewhere. Underground churches were being raided. The Early Rain Covenant Church, affiliated Zion Church alone saw at least 30 people arrested. Human Rights Watch tallied that figure. Pastor Jean Mingri was arrested at his home in Beihai, Guangxi. Then Wang Zhong, an elder of Zion Church's Shanghai parish, was taken away by police on October 17 and vanished. His family, frantic, found a lawyer, called around, went to detention centers, only to be told coldly, no such person in the system. He'd been taken, yet they claimed he couldn't be found. After extensive back and forth, they learned Wang had been transferred to Beihai, Guangxi, and he has heart disease. After being detained, he couldn't even get his meds, facing life-threatening risk. The family asked at least to let him take medication. Authorities ignored them. Even more outrageous, families of 22 other detainees have still not received a single detention notice. One victim, Sun Shui, his wife Sherlin, wrote publicly that on the night of October 12, someone claimed to be doing a census. She found it odd and didn't open the door. Hours later, before dawn, police broke in, handcuffed Sun, and took him away. Sherlin said she didn't learn he'd been detained until calling on October 15. The process blatantly violated legal procedure and gave the family no explanation. This illegal sweep wasn't only against Zion Church. Media also reported, Shenyang police detained 6 members of the Salt Fellowship, charging them with using a cult to undermine law enforcement. The Wheatseed Reformed Church in Fuyang, Anhui, saw 3 pastors and elders transferred to the Procuratorate for illegal gathering because they were unregistered. The CCP's mass arrests of underground churches ignited fury among overseas Chinese. In Los Angeles, dozens gathered outside the PRC consulate, holding signs in protest. In the Netherlands, many Chinese also took to the streets, calling on the CCP, release the detainees, stop religious persecution. In China, spreading the gospel and hosting Bible classes becomes illegal assembly. Churches not joining the official system get labeled cults. The CCP not only restricts religious freedom, it criminalizes faith. If you were a family member, your loved one in detention, without medication, no news, wouldn't you take to the streets too? Under CCP rule, can freedom of belief even exist? Culture and tourism bubble implodes, ancient towns shut en masse. The CCP once pinned hope on a culture and tourism revival, but the bubble burst quickly. Let's look at one of 2025's toughest sectors in China, tourism, collapsing in large numbers. Recently, Qinghai Tourism Investment, a provincial SOE-backed culture tourism platform that boasted 100 billion in 3 years, IPO in 5, not only went bankrupt, but dragged 13 subsidiaries into liquidation with it. This wasn't a small outfit, it had state capital backing, yet its registered capital of 480 million yuan was burned through. Absurd? You judge, over 20 million spent on a campsite with no property rights, acquiring a near-bankrupt firm and paying an extra 30 million, top management swept out, projects tossed back and forth like sandbags, ending with no one in charge. It's not just Qinghai, other places are in dire straits, Zhangjiajie, Guilin, Xi'an, Dalian, Tibet, one worse than the next. Among 44 listed culture tourism companies, 25 saw negative revenue growth, over half are losing money. Airlines got dragged down too. China Southern lost nearly 100 million, China Eastern lost nearly 1 billion, Air China was worse, 2 billion in the red. You might ask, wasn't tourism recovering? Aren't people going out? Yes, official data says, Q1 domestic trips approached 1.8 billion, up 375 million year over year, total spending up nearly 19% to 1.8 trillion yuan. So where did the money go? Why are culture tourism firms still dying? Answer: many ancient town culture tourism projects in China are tourism in name, infrastructure in essence. Take Daong Ancient City, after 3.5 years of trial operation, it lost 547 million yuan. Why? Depreciation, amortization, taxes, all outpace earnings. Worse, tourists don't want to revisit these copy-paste, cookie-cutter ancient towns. A China Tourism Academy survey, over 50% of tourists feel ancient towns all look alike, and nearly 40% say, very similar. In plain terms, the same prayer beads, grilled sausages, gray bricks and green tiles, teahouse theaters, no matter how you snap check-in photos, these ancient towns are just commercial streets in cultural dress. From start to finish, these towns weren't built for culture or visitors, but to land projects, churn funds, rack up political achievements, and seize land for infrastructure. Industry media bluntly put it, culture tourism projects are shells for cash grabbing. The 2025 shutdown wave isn't the end of tourism, but the end of fake prosperity. What's falling are the flamboyant, copycat, speculative projects. What stays are places truly worth a trip, a night stay, and careful savoring. The Canton Fair is frozen, foreign trade enters a deep winter. Tourism can't save China's economy, what about exports? Remember the Canton Fair, once a symbol of China's foreign trade rise? This year, footage from the 138th Canton Fair, bleak, so bleak you can hardly see people. Day 1, an exhibitor filmed, "We're in an aisle spot, should be bustling, but look, it's empty, icy." The whole venue felt hibernating, no one asking at booths, no foreign buyers in sight, exhibitors sat scrolling phones, chatting. Someone quipped, "This isn't an expo, it's a look-at-yourself lonely market." Why this way? Old problems plus new rules equals double whammy. First, participation rules, the strictest ever. Want an exhibitor badge? Sorry, first pay 3 months of social insurance, employees must have at least 1 month paid. Translators need licenses or professional degrees, one foreigner can bind only one assistant, all credential fees total 350 yuan, and you still might not get in. It's like using policy to push exhibitors out. Second, costs. One participant from Nanchang broke it down, 77,400 yuan for 3 booths, 20,000 for special decoration, round-trip transport plus lodging plus meals for 8 people about 90,000, nearly 180,000 yuan total. But the venue's empty, no orders to take. Was it worth it? Ask yourself and try not to cry. Then the big guillotine. Former US President Trump announced 100% tariffs on Chinese goods starting November 1st. Sell scissors for 10 yuan, pay 15 yuan in US tariffs, how do you sell? A skateboard shoe exporter Riley said, "That's annihilation. If Europe and America don't buy, where do we sell? Other markets can't carry it." Ironically, official propaganda touted, over 70,000 booths, over 32,000 companies, and 240,000 pre-registered buyers. Sounds lively, but in reality? Colder than a wet market. It's not that customers didn't come, Western buyers fled. Who did come? Belt and Road countries, CIS states, India, the Middle East. Frankly, the big spenders are gone, what's left are those scouting prices and seeking contract manufacturing, internal competitors. The involution is so intense it's become a domestic sales expo plus Douyin streamer meetup. Meanwhile brick-and-mortar's misery spreads, Shenzhen, Nanshan, Huazhong City, Xi'an, Zhengzhou, stores closing one after another. Someone filmed an entire street of empty rentals. These were once golden storefronts selling for 500,000 yuan per square meter, now even rats won't live there. Question: do you think China's foreign trade still has hope? If a national-level expo like the Canton Fair has turned into an internal market fair, what happens to SMEs? When internal circulation is hollow talk and external markets are blocked by tariffs, the trial of Made in China may only be beginning. 3 deadly knots, hard for China to untie. 1 Canton Fair reveals the ebb of foreign trade, but fundamentally, these are symptoms. The deeper issue is that the underlying logic of China's economy is jammed. This week in Beijing, the CCP held the Fourth Plenum. Senior officials gathered to deliberate the 15th five-year plan, i.e., the roadmap for the next 5 years. How to draw that map? Extremely difficult. China faces 3 core structural crises. First crisis, weak consumption. Since reform and opening, what drove China's economy? In 2 lines, push exports, pour concrete. These 2 tricks once worked miracles, but now the old road is blocked. Why? Local governments are drowning in debt, the real estate bubble burst, young people can't find jobs, pensions and social security are shaky, people don't dare spend. With an uncertain future, many pull back. Even the CCP's own GDP data shows obvious consumption fatigue. ANZ analysts put it bluntly, this is both structural and cyclical. In other words, it's not a short slump, the fundamentals have deteriorated. Second crisis, trade tensions. The U.S. China trade war keeps grinding on. The US imposes sanctions and tech decoupling. Europe is restricting Chinese exports too. The CCP's response? Divert goods to Southeast Asia on the one hand, play games with strategic rare earth exports as bargaining chips on the other. But this has made the EU 27 nervous. They're talking rare earth supply crisis with Beijing. In short, it used to be the world scrambling for Chinese goods, now it's the world defending against Chinese overcapacity. Fitch noted reality: short term, China still wields influence in rare earths, but the world is striving to de-China FY. Third crisis, overcapacity. This is China's heaviest burden now. Look at global markets, from solar panels and EVs to textiles, Chinese goods flood the world at rock-bottom prices. Not because productivity is high, but because domestic demand is weak, forcing exports. Especially after real estate's crash, domestic demand for steel, cement, and glass plunged, the manufacturing chain has nowhere to digest output. So China exports surplus capacity, externalizing internal pressure. Nomura said it plainly: China's current growth model is a manufacturing stand-in, but it brings side effects of runaway capacity. This surplus not only hurts others, it rebounds on China itself. What about the next 5 years? AFP analysis says the CCP's 15th five-year plan will likely focus on plugging social security gaps, improving income distribution, rectifying real estate, trying to spur domestic consumption. Reasonable directions, but easier said than done. With an aging population, youth unemployment, and growing international isolation, whether the CCP can implement substantive reforms is a big question mark. How can she solve it? These three economic exams can't be answered with slogans and massaged data. If no one spends, even pretty GDP is fake prosperity. Hit walls in foreign trade and still insist on self-reliance in tech, and you risk isolating yourself. Leave overcapacity unresolved and the world will eventually wall you off with tariffs. If this 5-year plan still clings to fuzzy phrases like seek progress while maintaining stability, strengthen guidance, then the next 5 years may mark another starting point for China's continued economic slide. What do you think about China's economic trajectory? Share your thoughts in the comments.